All right, here we go on the Friday. Yes. Good afternoon, one and all. Boy, the stretch of nice weather continues. Yes. We are live. We're going to start in just 5 minutes. We have a very special guest that's going to be joining us, folks. Gian says the audio is great. Good. We are ready to roll. By the way, all of our, we're going to be live on the radio coming up in just 5 minutes. We've been making some improvements to our audio quality. So the radio show, you'll notice a big difference. But let me just double check. We have a longtime friend of President Trump is going to join us as the talk coming out of the state is really being amped up. And I'll be the first one. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think the Rhode Island leaders should be insulting this White House. Does that sound, what kind of negotiation is that? You know, you saw how President Trump greeted Putin. All right, the X sound is perfect. But this business now you have Congressman Seth Magaziner, who's decided that he's also going to insult the president. To me, that doesn't sound like a good idea. So in any way, that's, you know, and we'll talk to his friend. Maybe somehow I'd like to know why they think that works. That's different, you know, folks. It's also what they talk about, the golden rule. Whoever has the gold rules. So this business of the Rhode Island elected officials now starting to up the insults towards the White House. As I've stated, I don't think they're in any position to be doing that. And now they're mimicking what Sabatoni was saying. Why are you going to mimic that guy? What are you mimicking him for? I don't think that's who you should be following. I don't think you follow his lead. We're not live on the radio yet. So now Seth Magaziner is saying, yeah, this is bullshit. I'm not going to say that on the radio. Where is... So now you're mimicking what Sabatoni said? So that's who we're now going to mimic? Magaziner doesn't even live in the district. So Seth Magaziner, yeah, that's right. He better start listening to it. Well, why don't you try to get a meeting? Oh, that's right. They don't have any connections to get a meeting. All of the insults and I'm just trying to figure out where they think this is going. When has that worked? When has that worked where you start insulting? And McKee, I'm demanding a meeting. We need to meet. We? What do you have, a mouse in your pocket? What are you talking about? You mean you want to meet? That's what I think you mean. Seth Magaziner. All right, we're going to be starting in just 2 minutes out. 2 minutes out. And yes, we will be active with Road Patrol Live later. But we're going to talk to Bruce Lavelle, longtime senior advisor to President Trump, also former Small Business Administration advocate for the White House. So the Trump administration, they're ready to go after a lot of these different cities that have a problem with crime. And I think it's an important issue that I just think that a lot of the Democrats get wrong. We're also going to, oh, here we go. Who's a racist? You know, I don't know. I'll handle it. Hey, when you have over 102,000 followers, yeah, that's right. That's right, Henry B. He's going to have Tony Silva go in. Why am I still seeing that? Okay. I'm not mad at all. I'm just watching the show. I'm not going to do that. There's Debbie. Yep. We'll be active later. All right, and we shall begin. Folks, good afternoon. What another beautiful Friday. Well, not another beautiful Friday. I meant to say what a beautiful day. This month so far, nice and dry. Rain overnight. I like this. I could get used to that. It just rains overnight. This portion of the program, no, right now we're live on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. You can always listen online at the website, dpetro.com. And then you can also watch us right now for this part of the program. We're live on Facebook, and we're live on X, and we're also live on YouTube. So no shortage of ways that you can follow the program, listen to the program, and watch the program and interact with others that are enjoying the program. This portion of our show is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. You know, right now they are. They grind at 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Stop it and see them. Steve and Debbie and Junior and Byron and Laura. They have had a tremendous season. Family-run business. They grind it. They're open 7 days a week. They're also a full-scale nursery. You know, the next few weeks and months are actually very good months to plant. They have everything you need at PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. But on top of that, they have fresh vegetables, delicious corn, and also peaches. Stop it and see them. Full-scale nursery, PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Now, you often hear me mention depetro.com, and I encourage people, implore them actually, visit the website. Now, remember, you can also always listen at the website, and then we also have many, we have all the video that we do, most of it anyway. Look at, there's the website, weekdays 11 to 2. You also see the listen live. You click that. Here's all of our links to social media right here. It's a happening. Log on at depetro.com, and don't forget depetro.com, which is brought to you by the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. As I like to say, lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. Coming soon, they're now going to have the coffee shop at Cohasset, which I love. Stop in and see them. They do just a fantastic job. And also, you know, our condolences go out to Carol's family. I stopped by the service this morning and saw her and her lovely family. And the Cohasset Inn, folks, they can host a collation lunch many times. A lot of restaurants can't handle big groups during the day. The Cohasset Inn can, and take advantage of their chef special, pork chop, pierogi, surf and turf, chowder and clam cakes, steamers. They also have the tequila lime chicken is delicious. It's the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue in West Warwick. And as I had mentioned, condolences go out to Carol's family. Well, you know, this story, again, we have our guest coming up. This story out of Barrington, there's so many different facets to it. I think what's so frightening, and I'm talking about the bus monitor who was arrested. And I have it on Instagram and Facebook. So, and I did end up getting his mugshot, this guy out of Rehoboth. So Kevin Langlis of Rehoboth indicted on numerous charges, multiple child molestation charges. But what stands out, the department said the alleged incidents involved 2 girls between the ages of 5 and 12 years old. The initial complaint came on June 12th, and an investigation started. But according to police, he was charged with 3 counts of second-degree child molestation, indecent solicitation of a child, simple assault, indecent exposure, disorderly conduct. The Barrington police chief, Correa, I believe he used to be in Providence, but he was employed, this monitor, by Ocean State Transit as a school bus monitor for the Barrington School District. So, but here's where he was fired from the position after the first allegation in June. but it took 4 months for formal charges to be brought against him. So, but I want to get into this a little bit. The investigation was complex. It's the ages. The Rhode Island Attorney General's office said the alleged acts happened, but here's what I've been getting a lot of email on. Between September of 2023 and June of this year. So for 2 years, this has been going on. Following his indictment, he was released, $10,000 bail, issued a no contact order for the victims. Ocean State Transit. In a statement, Barrington Schools reminded parents that they contract all bus personnel from Ocean State Transit. But that's not an excuse to then step back from something like this. So, and from what I also believe, they were some instance of that the children were special needs. So, but what also needs to, I don't think it should be ignored. The fact that the atmosphere, the incidents occurred on a special education bus route. So, but what I don't think should be ignored is the fact that Barrington has definitely gone through a change with the type of individuals that hold power there. And Barrington, their school committee and their town council right now is basically run by progressives. And why is that important? I'm just saying, the atmosphere that they have now permeated in Barrington is, they for whatever reason, in Barrington years ago, the two big Republican towns in Rhode Island were East Greenwich and Barrington. And Barrington went very progressive. And that's who their reps are. And that's who their reps are. That's who their town council is. That's who the school committee. But Barrington has been one of those communities where they now say, we're going to have story time with drag queens. And they're big on, we have to have, the trans flag and some of there's that guy, I forget what his name is, Jacob something. And, they're very big. Barrington has been kind of leading the charge for diversity and equity. And we got to include everyone. And it changes an atmosphere. When you go down the path of where you're going to have drag queens story hour for very young children, what is the purpose of that? What is the goal there? Is it really acceptance? So that's how you teach acceptance, by teaching children that they should be, there's nothing to worry about when you're around grown men who just happen to be wearing a dress and makeup. I think and I've stated this in the past, I think it becomes very confusing to children. I know the progressives don't like hearing this type of thing, but what stands out to me about Barrington and some of their representatives, I know I had a friend that was very involved with their town council and school committee, used to update me. I haven't paid attention as much of late, but they were very big on pushing the transgender in the schools. And I could see where it would become confused. I don't understand why they have to go so aggressive towards children, and why it's so important to them that, children need to be open-minded. And children, this is Barrington now. Barrington's become very progressive. Children should be able to pick their own gender. And children should feel very comfortable around a man in a dress reading them, nursery rhymes. I'm not sure, why is that? Why should children feel that way? So as horrible as it is with the situation in Barrington, and it is, you can't ignore that there's definitely been a shift in attitude. And I think when you do it with children, it can become very confusing when you start to do that with children. And we're seeing that more and more of there are certain people that try to normalize things. You know, it's perfectly normal for a grown man to be wearing a dress and makeup. All right. And I want to touch on, again, some of the reactions and attitudes that are standing out. There's a lot of people that try to normalize behavior. And I'm going to talk about it. But folks, this portion of our program, there you are, Propane Plus. Hi, Ron Marshall. Call them today. Heating and cooling for residential or commercial. You can depend on Propane Plus. Again, the Johnson family in Rhode Island. Call them at 401-885-4209 or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. You know, propane is a very effective form of energy and should be utilized instead of Governor McGreed and the rest of them Governor McKee trying to say, oh, it's only 10 cents a kilowatt. That's not even true. That's like saying, look, gas is only $2 a gallon, as long as the state is going to kick in $2 towards every gallon. No, that makes it $4 a gallon. Oh, no, see, it's only $2. Yeah, that's $2 with the $2 that it's getting. That's $4. You don't need that with Propane Plus. And always online at propaneplus.com. There are people that have an agenda with this. There are. I know people are saying the cameras, but the cameras are, there's ways around that type of stuff. You can't just say get cameras. It's the attitudes and who they're hiring and why are they hiring these people. And I come back to what's acceptable. What's acceptable? If your goal is to confuse children and then tell them that there's nothing wrong with that type of behavior, then you get this type of thing. It's in the notice, you know, the individuals that engage in this, they look for progressive communities in order to enact this type of stuff. But there are some people I've noticed, and where I really notice it is in the comments that I post on social media. And I'm talking about, you know, a guy puts a couch and a chair on a sidewalk and decides he's just going to sit there. And everyone thinks, hey, that could be you. That could be anybody. Leave him alone. There's nothing wrong with that. And this whole thing keeps, you know, going that way. But if you, as I've stated, you know, Barrington, when you have this agenda, when you have this agenda that who are we to judge and blah, 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 and that type of thing, that's where I think then you can run into trouble. Now, folks, right now, you're seeing that the Trump administration, I think they're really making gains. What has happened in Washington, D.C. is really the model of how things can go. And what I love about the style and the leadership of this president is it's really the ultimate either lead or get out of the way. Either you run your city properly or we're going to come in and run your city properly. And someone that knows the president very well, longtime friend and advisor, and it's Bruce Lavelle, joins us on the John DePietro Show. Good afternoon, Bruce.
Hey, how's it going, man? How's it going?
Very good, Bruce. Bruce, you take us inside what he is demonstrating in DC, and what they could do in Chicago. This is, look at what crime problem. Crime is down, all-time low, homicides down. Chicago should take note. The problem is going to be solved one way or the other.
Well, you know, listen, this is a long time coming, overdue. I think what's happened over time is that the American people have pretty much been brainwashed to thinking that public safety is territorial. You know, well, this is the county police, this is the city, this is the U.S. Marshals, this is the FBI, this is not our, you know, where President Trump comes in and looks at the overall public safety as public safety, you know, whether you're National Guard, you know, local, whatever, FBI. And just real quick, you saw Kash Patel's confirmation hearing when he says, listen, we're going to do things a little different. We're going to get these 30,000+ agents and get them out there and just do cop stuff, you know, police work. So the president's changing the trajectory on what public safety looks like. You won't hear any complaints from small businesses like myself. I'm one of 30 million of us in the country. A lot of small mom and pa's up and down the boulevard, as we say, that are open arms for any quote public safety presence, which, by the way, is a deterrent. It's not going out harassing people, it's presence. And that's what this is doing. When you see patrolling, I actually tweeted about this the other day with Governor Pritzker over in Illinois, and he's, sitting up there with his press conferences with that silly mayor in Chicago, instead of what you saw in the press conference earlier with Janine Piero with Mayor Bowser, like, let's work together on this instead of trying to figure out ways to undermine an antidote, which is so desperately needed to help the American people. So I think, what I was going back to, I said, Governor Pritzker, would you, if someone jumped on you while you're walking down the street and they was choking you and a National Guard just happened to be walking by, would you just continue to being choked and says, someone bring the police, or would you take assistance from the National Guard?
Right.
And so that's kind of like where we're at with this is the common sense approach of quote public safety presence to deter and to capture the bad guys and arrest them.
Bruce, if you wouldn't mind, just share with everyone that's listening and watching a little bit about your relationship with the president, how you've had a successful relationship with him. What type of leader, what is it like when you're interacting with him?
Well, he's kind of like one of my uncles, I call it, that comes to the barbecue. We're over there on the side playing cards, dominoes, yelling, laughing, having fun. And I know that's a little exaggerated, but I really mean that. That's kind of like how his temperament and how he is. And I think that's one of the biggest, attractions that, especially in the blue collar sector, because he's around construction people, a lot of different facets of people, kings, queens, princes, and heck, the doorman. He's the same with everyone. And I've seen that for many years, for over 30 years, I've known him. And so I think for me, I'm more a bottom line type person like he is. The noise, the rhetoric, and everything that people grasp onto, I'm like, well, that's noise, but what are the results here? Show me the numbers where we can make gains here. And so that's kind of like the way I look at it. And I know that's the way he looks at the lens of the country and the world is where's the skin in the game? What's the bottom line? How can we help?
How does President Trump, your experience, Bruce, respond to, let's say, the governor of Illinois, who's being very confrontational, trying to roadblock? You have some other governors in Massachusetts, the mayor of Boston, which we're close to, is saying, no, the ICE situation, we don't need ICE. The city's under control. How does he respond to people like that?
Well, I mean, you're talking to a person that's been in the public eye for over 40 years, number one, which is an advantage. Number two, what president has been impeached twice, 2 assassination attempts, try to wreck him through the court systems. He's been through so much, and look where he's at now. So I guess, he would probably say, is that all you got? And getting back to the governors that you mentioned who are grandstanding with the politics, I do know that there is no win-win when you're trying to grandstand, especially when it relates to our men and women, our children being murdered. And I don't know why or where anyone would want to grandstand like Governor Pritzker or why the governor of Massachusetts and Governor Newsom in California, why they would try to pander and play to that crowd on the backs of people being murdered in the streets. And real quick, John, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of the protesters, and I said this on TV the other night, Newsmax, I said, go out and interview and follow the protesters and see where they live. I guarantee you the places where we're having the toughest time in crime, those local business people, those local residents aren't the ones that are protesting.
Right.
Just remember that.
That's right.
So you have to see where this noise, it's the same thing we dealt with in Atlanta during the uprisings with some of the riots in Kenosha and Seattle across the country with these autonomous zones. is, where is this coming from? And the bottom line is that you saw where it led. It led into disasters. But at the end of the day, the people are starting to wake up and realize, like, I don't want to entertain that. And that's why the mayor of DC standing proud up in that press conference, like,
Yep.
look, I'm not going to try to beat him. I'm going to join him. And look at the success. And what people don't understand, something real quick, being a business owner for 30 plus years in retail commodity industry, economic development comes through, first of all, safety and security. Number two, consumer confidence. Watch the tourism going into the fall in DC. And the watch the museums and being packed and the
right.
restaurants. Watch what happens. It's already happening now. The hot dog stand guy was interviewed on Fox the other night. He was just like amazed to see how he wasn't worrying about trying to hide his money like he had to, and how he's able to sell his hot dogs out there on the street. So it's a win-win. There's no pathway for the left to continue the silliness. And the only antidote is the 2-year terms that Congress have, the 4-year terms that the mayor and all them. That's when your referendum comes, is vote them out.
Bruce, one final question. Just as someone that's worked with the president, knows the president, relationship with the president, last fall when Kamala Harris was mocking the idea that she had worked at McDonald's, when President Trump went in and he took over that window, what was your reaction? Because to me, that is the brilliance. He took it serious. He enjoyed the job. He was great at it. He gave the workers had pride. That is just it's just not everybody has that ability that he has. And you talk about small business. To me, that is someone that can connect with small business people.
Well, real true story here. We were on the plane back in 2015 campaigning. We're going to another state for rallies. I used to open some rallies for him. Is the first time I was on there, it was time to eat. And I'm thinking like, oh, okay, food. And then the runner walks on the plane with this big box. I open them up. They're Quarter Pounders and Big Macs. I'm like, is this it? So I picked up the Quarter Pounder, and the president says, he goes, what are you going to do with that? I said, give me that. I said, well, he gave him the Quarter Pounder, and I took the Big Mac. So when I saw that was the first thing that came to my mind, is my McDonald's story on Trump Force One. We were campaigning in early 2015 about the McDonald's. And that was the story that quickly that came to my mind about where he's at. It's just order McDonald's.
Yes. Just amazing. Folks, again, Bruce Lavelle. Bruce, great. Thanks for taking the time. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you again.
God bless. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Folks, again, this we're going to continue to have on different people with this White House, supportive of this White House. I could have got into some of the Rhode Island stuff. Obviously, when you see a guest like that, we have a lot of communication with this administration. And as I was mentioning earlier, I'm telling you, it is not lost on the fact that, when you have a Governor McGreed is basically, yes. Oh, thank you, Lee. TC is what? Yes. Yep. Oh, okay. School committee, 4 independent, 1 Dem. The town council is the woke mess. Yes, it is. But when you have a governor who's saying, I'm going to go there and I'm going to straighten him out. And what is, folks, you want to talk about someone that is not reading the room in any way. Certainly not reading the room. And then for the same token, as I mentioned, you had Sabatoni of the laborers that, okay. I'm just saying the top investigation, the case against 2 teens accused of murdering a UMass student interning at Capitol Hill. All right, so a third suspect is being sought. So they are gaining ground on that. But what I was mentioning was the fact that you have Magaziner now, Congressman Magaziner, who does not even live in the district, and now he's mimicking the labor leader, Sabatoni, saying that's BS. Um, like where did they get, who do they think has the power in this equation? I'm seeing it now. Two teens arrested in the shooting of the masked native, the DC intern. Okay, that was a huge story. The kid from Massachusetts who was interning there, and then he was shot and killed. But Judge Janine is just doing a she is doing a fantastic job right now, and look at the way she has been, cleaning up, and they're getting crime under control. Representative Magaziner calls non-answer on revolution wind BS, but then says it that way. I'm just trying to figure out why this crew, why they think they have any power here. It's all the name calling and it's all the insulting. And I'm telling you, it's just not going to go anywhere. It is the Barrington Town Council. They're the ones with the big woke agenda. And it's frightening, though. It is frightening about um, exactly what took place. And I know people are saying now it's Ocean State Transit and now they need to have cameras. But okay, so you hired the company, but who's still observing and vetting these people? And I think it's the atmosphere that is created. Hey folks, I want to remind you, if you're thinking of remodeling, maybe you've been thinking of getting a new kitchen or maybe a new bathroom or whatever it may be to improve your home. More and more people are having work done in their home as opposed to moving because they just feel that the housing market is so expensive. That's where Arch Design Builders come in. They specialize in residential design. Right now, on this Friday, if you're thinking of getting a new kitchen, maybe you want a completely brand new kitchen or a new bathroom, or maybe you have an unfinished basement or a deck or a special project, Arch Design Builders. Call Ed and Roxanne, 401 207 4124. 401 207 4124. Arch Design Builders. You're talking about family owned, 5-star, custom build, customer service. Call and set up that free meeting with Ed and Roxanne, 401 218 9707. No, it is Arch Design Builders. Look for them with social media. Listen, this individual in Barrington, it's absolutely disgraceful. And this apparently was going on for years. But I come back to when you're the town council, and I don't remember all their names. I used to follow. They've had some different controversies. I guess it's died down a little bit. But they had controversies during COVID, then after COVID, and they just have some very progressive members. Either they're reps at the state house or just on their town council. And when you create, they want to introduce all these books. Heather has 2 mommies and Daddy has a new roommate, and all these books you've never heard of the caterpillar or whatever it is. And it's all about trans and pushing this on the young kids. Who do you think gets attracted to a community like that? Someone like this. Now, again, he's a suspect. He was arrested. This is the guy arrested the bus monitor in Barrington. But to me, some of it stems from, as I've said, and I'll repeat, he's a suspect. He hasn't been convicted of anything as of yet. So, but that sounds like it was a pretty complicated investigation. A man who worked as a Barrington school bus monitor faces child molestation charges. I come back to authorities have charged a man who worked as a Barrington school bus monitor, multiple child molestation charges and other charges. Not even a driver, a bus monitor. Kevin Langlois of Rehoboth, indicted on numerous charges. I come back to when you create this atmosphere of someone, I'll just answer my own question. When you create an atmosphere of the drag queens reading to 4 and 5-year-olds, you're you to me, you get people like this. You attract people like this. I know they're all pointing the finger, and we're going to put cameras on the buses and all this other stuff. But who created that atmosphere? What is going on that this guy felt? And again, he's accused, hasn't been convicted, accused, accusations. That's all it is right now, although they seem pretty firm on the charges. It's what about the atmosphere that they create there? I think you attract people like that. You know what else I just want to mention, folks, just because it's a Friday, and I do want to mention I've gotten so many of these people that comment and post. I posted this guy. Listen, we post city scenes people sometimes see in the city. That's what we post. So people send me the photos. Sometimes I post them. Sometimes I don't. Someone is out somewhere. Yeah. Doesn't mean they're breaking the law. It just means that we're just an observation, just kind of capturing the moment. And I'll show you the picture that I'm talking about. But I want to remind you about J. Perry Paving, especially if you are a veteran, because they have a great package for veterans. J. Perry Paving, licensed and insured, high quality, fair pricing, exceptional service, free estimate, any project, J. Perry Paving. Call them 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. You can find them on Facebook, letter J, Perry Paving. Call them for a free estimate. 401-732-1730, especially if your dad is a veteran, or your mom, or your grandfather, your grandmother, or your son or daughter, whoever. They have a great package for veterans. 401-732-1730, letter J. It's J. Perry Paving. So what I was mentioning was, and we post different things. And so someone sent me that, Silver Spring Street in Providence, right near Barrington Towing. Now, no, he's not breaking the law, but I don't know. It's not 100 degrees. Put some clothes on. Barrington School Committee hired a special investigative case. Everyone wants to see the report. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lisa. I agree. So here's the thing. These people, so what? He's living his best life. Someone else put mental illness. I don't think that's mental illness. It's just that apparently whoever this is, I don't think it's mental illness, but it's, people that just, they parade around like that. You know what I also want to share? The picture. I'm amazed at the people that defend the photo that I'm about to post. But that individual, I didn't say he's breaking the law. And by the way, I just look what it says. I put Summer in the City, Silver Spring Street. How dare you? What are you talking about? Someone else said, you can't put, he's on a public street. He's walking around Silver Spring Street. That's a law. What lawsuit? When you leave the house and you venture onto the public street, you give up any sense of privacy. These people, he could sue. So what? Just, I don't know. Where's he going? To a store? Going for a morning walk? Put on a shirt. Would it kill him to throw on a shirt? Unless he's doing it before and after? Yeah, that's true. He did match the shoes and the shorts. There just doesn't seem to be. Again, I'm not saying he's breaking the law. Why are you posting that? This is way above you. What does that mean? It's way above. Why can't I post that? But I want to show you, and I realize a lot of people listening to the radio, but the photo, I'm amazed, and I want to touch on this because I think a lot of people are uncomfortable even mentioning, and they shouldn't be, but mentioning that topic. And I'm going to show you what I mean in just a moment. But I want to actually, let me pull it up now and I'll go into it. I'm just amazed at, and this is where the progressive blue of the state comes into play. Because you don't want to end up like California. If you've seen how Portland is these days, it's insanity. Seattle, Portland, just absolute. I mean, LA, 65,000. I'm going to give you a good statistic in a moment, but I want to remind you about Servpro of Providence. Folks, remember, when disaster strikes, if you have a flood or fire or smoke damage, Servpro of Providence. They're available 24/7, fast, thorough, professional. If you have a fire in your business or water damage or mold or flood, Servpro of Providence. Call them 941-5500. There's the number right on the screen. 941-5500. You have water damage? Call Servpro of Providence. Did you have a fire, smoke, mold? Servpro of Providence. 401-941-5500. I want to show you the photo that I'm just kind of amazed at the reaction. I don't know if it's this underwear that gets, and it's this. Someone sent me this photo. I didn't take this photo. That's right on Orange Street. So I believe the police were out there this morning. So here are some of the comments. Leave them alone. It's a picture. This guy, right in arms, has a couch, chair, all these belongings, trash. Do you know in Los Angeles, there are 65,000 homeless people. Not one of them is Asian. 65,000 homeless people. Not one of them is Asian. Some of the reactions to this photo. That's it. Posted it. How dare you post it? That is public. That's public. Number one. He's also blocking a sidewalk. That could be any one of us. I disagree with that. He must have a drug or alcohol problem. Maybe not. Maybe he's lazy. Maybe he doesn't want to work. What if everyone started doing that? That could be anyone. God, my favorite is God could put you there tomorrow, as if God put that person there. Lunacy. No, unacceptable. You get a job. Okay, this is unacceptable in society. I am amazed at the people that enable and defend this type of thing. I really am. So, and they shouldn't. They should not. So that's not why you're on Earth. That's not why we're here. And what if everyone started doing that? I completely disagree with that mentality. That's not how. There's so much opportunity out there. No. Now, people that work hard, I'll tell you someone who works hard. And she joins us right now on this Friday. It's the Queen of Health of Marie, and it's My Health, 1099 Menden Road in Cumberland. Good afternoon, Marie.
Good afternoon, John. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. You have been missed. So many fans out there. You take it. What do you have for us on this Friday?
Well, we're already getting close to cold and flu season, so I thought I'd remind people about some of the things that can be helpful. So elderberry syrups, elderberry gummies, elderberry tea. We have the elderberries, the dried elderberries. We have recipes. People can make their own if they don't want to. We have local elderberry syrup that you can buy. It's a great thing to start taking about now. We're still in allergies, but the colds will start coming. They'll sneak in as this cool weather, starts to take hold. So starting the elderberry syrup soon is a good idea. The kids are back at school, right? Good for the kids too to start taking the elderberries. And then, there are some other things as well. People get the really tough respiratory problems. So we do have a few different supplements for that can help. Andrographis is another one that's really good. But it's just time to start thinking about those things and stocking up, because you want to make sure you have it on hand when something hits. You don't want to wait till you're in full-blown cold mode to start thinking about what you should take, because oftentimes, whether you're taking something homeopathic or something herbal, if you catch it early, you can really limit the duration and the intensity of a cold. So that is my little scoop for today.
Now, what about some of your local products, Marie?
Yep. So we do have local honey. We have it in a couple different sizes. We have the local elderberry and the fire cider as well. Another good thing for cold season, taking the fire cider and mixing the two together makes it pretty yummy, because the fire cider can have a little bit of a bite to it. But company makes both of them, and they're very, very nice. A nice herbalist locally who makes them.
And as it starts to get cool, I'll bet a nice tea can be very soothing. What do you recommend for the fall?
So we have lots of wonderful teas, lots of herbs, things you can blend together, or if you want some things that are already blended for colds, or just to be warm, to have a nice warm tea at the end of the day, or if you've been outside and you've been doing some work out in the yard, some nice teas just to warm you up and make you feel nice and comfy. So we even have some teas that have CBD in them. So, a nice CBD tea after you've been working outside, or if in the evening, if you need something to help you sleep, so that little bit of CBD in with the herbal teas can be really helpful.
Now, Marie, what are your hours, folks? Marie, it's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. What are your hours for today, and what's happening tomorrow, Saturday, at It's My Health?
So today we're here till 5:30, and tomorrow we're here from 9 to 4. We have yoga classes and Pilates classes tomorrow. We have a new yoga class that'll be starting up on Wednesday nights, starting September 24th. It's a vinyasa flow, so a nice vigorous kind of yoga. So a nice break. The one we have on Saturdays is a very meditative, gentle yoga. So nice to have the contrast.
Folks, stop in and see her. She's one of a kind. She's got so many fans out there. It's Marie, and It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Marie, you are the queen. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, John. Take care.
Folks, she is just terrific. And I want to encourage, I'm telling you, you need knowledgeable retailers, small businesses like this. They're so fortunate. Everyone in Cumberland, 1099 Mendon Road. Stop in and see her diagonally across from Davenport Restaurant. Now, I did get an email from David. David said they're thinking they're going to epoxy their garage. Who is the company I recommended? Quality Asphalt Seal Coating, David. Call Corey. Yes, you can drop my name. 401-283-9815. Get your garage epoxy. Makes a huge difference. Or patio. And this is the season. At least get on the list. Because then when the cold weather kicks in, that's not the time to have that type of work done. Epoxy garages, patios, decorative concrete flooring. They can resurface pickleball court, tennis court, basketball court. Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call Corey, 401-283-9815. And I think I should have his logo or social media page. I don't know why it's not going. Now I do want to find it. Where is, okay, that's that. Okay, that's not the one I'm looking for. And hold on, everyone, bear with me. I know I had it. All right, maybe I don't have it. All right. I thought I have it. All right, there's a chore for the weekend. I want to come back to this. I want to be very clear. This is not picking on the unhoused. This is not picking on the homeless. I'm amazed at the people. Well, did you stop and talk to them? No, I'm not going to stop and talk to them. Well, did you try to help him? No, I'm not going to try to help him. There are professionals that do that. There are people that are paid to do that. That's someone's job, supposedly, to help these people. But I'm telling you, this is unacceptable. And people, that is a progressive mindset that somehow, and I'm just often amazed at the people that actually believe it, that somehow, through a stroke of bad luck, that at any moment, the line that always gets me is God could put you there tomorrow, as if God put this person there. It is true. I'm dealing with someone trying to help the person's daughter. She has a terrible drug problem. She has a crack problem and moving on to fentanyl. It's terrible. It's heartbreaking. And I'm trying to direct her through. There are state agencies set up to help these people. Okay, much like these people that contacted me. Can you post Aran is missing on Cranston Street? There's another person with a drug problem. But not everybody out there has a drug or alcohol problem. There are some people. The problem about this, and this is not picking on the homeless. This is a longer discussion. I mean, in many ways, I think you could argue that homelessness is a sin. And I know people would say, well, the first family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, were homeless. Well, that was different, and you needed shelter for the night. But to waste your talents in that way, when someone lives like this individual, and this is at an overpass of all places. So, when you become full-time homeless, because I interact with some of them actually have been sources for me over the years and provide information. And I try to, in different ways, help them. I don't give them money for drugs or alcohol, but a lot of them, when you go full-time homeless, it becomes a full-time job. You wake up, you have to, go to the bathroom, and then you have to find food, and then you have to make sure no one steals your stuff. And sometimes they have a post office box and they're waiting for a check, or they need to charge the phone, or then they have to figure out where they're going to get lunch. Then maybe they have to find another men's room. Then it's try to rest because they don't sleep that much during the night. And then try to, what's the plan for dinner? Like the basic things take up a large part of the day. I've interviewed homeless people. I said, this one guy, I convinced him, if you worked at a restaurant 8 hours, there's lunch and dinner. You just have to wake up and get there. I'll bet you could even, make yourself a sandwich at the place. But what if everyone started doing this, right? Like on a Monday, how many people say, I don't feel like going into work? But that's, our society is built on everyone pulls their weight. And yeah, we need no question. You need safety nets for people there are people that develop a drug problem. You need safety nets for that. People that have an alcohol problem, people that have various problems. But the attitude of, why didn't you invite him to live with you? Absurd. How about the people, Governor McKee, as if it's Governor McKee's fault. What? Folks, I admit, I went to Catholic school for 12 years. It's, you have, man has will, right? I remember Brother Muller at Bishop Hendricken talking about a drunk driver kills a 5-year-old, and he said it used to drive him crazy. These old Irish women would say God's will. It's not God's will. That was man's free will that decided to drive, decided to drink, and then decided to drive. But the attitude of people, did you help him? Did you feed him? Did you take him to live with you? What are you talking about? We're not a nurse. These people are living in the wrong society. Many of the people that feel that way, you need to go to Cuba. You need to go to seek a communist country. Look at what happened on the West Coast when they said just that. We're going to get homes for the homeless. We're going to have showers. We're going to feed them. Look what happens. Slums grow. There's a lot of people that suddenly say, well, then forget it. I'm not going to work. Why should I? No, that's not what it is. Don't be an enabler. Every night on road patrol, we see those people, the panhandlers. standing out there. Insanity. These are people. Don't be judgmental. It's not a matter of being judgmental. But I am surprised that number one, people don't want to, well, maybe I shouldn't be surprised that they don't want to see it. What are showing that for? It's on a public street. I'll say this about the illegals. Many of them come here. They don't even speak English. And they work. That's not working. Then people, they come up with all excuses. Maybe he had a tough childhood. Maybe he's a veteran. Maybe he had a drug problem. Maybe he has that. Maybe he should find a job and live responsibly. These are adults. These people, well, did you help him? Yeah. I brought him home, gave him a bath, and put him down for a nap. He's not an infant. He's an adult. It's time to stand on your own 2 feet. You're in the United States of America. What would they do if they were out in the wilderness? If they were in the safari of Africa? Roam around? Crying out loud. That's not hateful. That's not spiteful. And I don't buy this whole business of that could be you tomorrow. I don't believe that. Some hagbag was saying, well, have you ever been home? Yeah, I have not been homeless. I don't have any family member that's been homeless. There's a million other options before you fall to that one. I'm telling you, that guy should, then all these people that feel that way, tell you what, you can stay in my garage. You have to pay $100 a week. Therefore, you need to work. The West Coast is a perfect example. That's a failed experiment. Folks, this portion of the program brought to you by Kids Club on the Pike. Now, like many other people, I love Kids Club on the Pike. Yes, birthday party venue, before and after school care, preschool. They have half and full day programs for preschool children ages 3 through 5. Provide transportation before and after care for school-age children ages 5 through 12. And it's the perfect spot for a birthday party. Kids Club on the Pike, right on the Cranston-Johnston line, right off of 295. Call them 401-443-5336. If you want to explore healthcare options, and believe me, they're very thorough. They screen their people. There's no drag queens reading story time at Kids Club on the Pike. Kids Club on the Pike. Look for them on social media. I want to be very clear, folks. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's not even judgmental. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Some people feel as though everything should be acceptable. I believe it's the whole thing of, again, 12 years of Catholic school. Give somebody a fish, they feed them for a day. Teach them how to fish, feed them for a lifetime. The attitude of these people, the people that enable this. I drove by and gave them a shit. I don't even know who that individual is. But it's unacceptable behavior. We don't want to live that way. Again, for anyone that doubts, the West Coast started that way. Good luck trying to straighten that stuff out now. If people get paid not to work, they won't work. All right, if you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. Great job by Gian. Everyone else, we have a weekend full of Road Patrol Live. We will see you tonight out on the streets.